Okay. Hello, I'm Brother D. Cruz, your life applications officer, coming at you with the finale of this subject of things that Christians don't have to worry about. It's not really about numbering a list of things that Christians don't have to worry about. It's about trying to get the world to understand why we feel we need to preach to you. Why we feel that your way is not the way. And we only want to help you. And you have this tendency to call it bigotry. And that is not it whatsoever. You can keep saying that all you want to. But trying to reach people with the gospel and tell them a better plan for their life is not bigotry. It is, I got it, I'm supposed to share it. You want to hate Christians because they share something with you, a precious gift from God. They share it with you. You want to hate them because they share what God has given them with you. The gift of salvation, the gift of a changed life. See, Jesus said in the Gospels that he knew what was in man, what was inside of him. He knew what was in man. Okay? And that man is full of dead men's bones. That man is full of wickedness. And that wickedness comes out of his mouth. Duh, we all know that. The wickedness comes out of his mouth. It comes out of his hands. First it enters his mind, then it comes out of his mouth, and then it is done. That is how sin grows in people's lives. And as I said in the last video, God already set in motion our destiny and our boundaries in life. He already set it up so that you and I don't have our way. And we never had our way, and we never will have our way. We will just have, our way of kicking and screaming and scratching. But we'll never get our way. Just our way of kicking and screaming and scratching because we can have our way. But we'll never get our way. We'll never get our way. He has marked us all as sinners. And we are sinners. We are. Every day, we lack maturity. We're a group of people who want to hate on anyone that would express, any higher level of integrity. We want to hate on anyone that would call anything out for what it truly is. Okay? We're just like that. And God has set it up that we reap what we sow. So even the atheists, you may say, well, you don't believe. But you reap what you sow even though you don't believe. He's given you a choice not to believe. But he didn't give you the choice to escape the corruption thereof. And I was watching Ray Comfort argue with, it wasn't an argument because Ray Comfort, I think Cross was kind of a little bit intimidated. And it wasn't Strauss. Like I said in the last video, it was Cross. K-R-A-U-S-S. Cross, whatever his first name is. You all know him. He's one of your forefathers of the atheist religion. Okay? But Cross, I watch how he would listen. Ray Comfort, he would say what he had to say, and he wasn't worried about, like he didn't stop and say, he would say what it is, and the narrator would say, well, do you really believe that? And he said, yes, 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 I really believe that. There was no lack of confidence with Ray Comfort about his faith and what he believed. And he called it out for what it is. He called Cross and everybody in the room a sinner. He called it out for what it is. And Cross tried to make fun. I noticed how Ray Comfort walked out of the room and Cross tried to get some comedy in there. And that's what these scorners do. They try to put comedy in the place of conviction. But conviction is what brought me to this point right here. Conviction is what made me the man that I am today. I was almost 2 seconds, 2 steps away from being like a lot of the people that I criticize, if you want to call it that. A lot of the things that you say I'm a bigot about. I almost was one of those people. I almost was one of those people. Really was. And I remember when I was a kid, I was wicked. While I was growing up in the church, I was wicked. It wasn't like, you go to church and you just hear dogma. But like I said in the last video, I knew what a relationship with God was about because I understood. They made sure at this church that I grew up in that I understood, my Bible because, I was involved in ministry early on in my life. And I had, like I said, we had Bible Institute and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, a lot of kids stopped going to church. But I was still going. And I kind of thank God that the girls didn't chase me the way they chased some of the guys. Back then when I was sitting there in church and looking around and saying, where's all the other kids? I was kind of jealous because I knew what they was doing. They was all getting laid. They was out, over so-and-so's house. Both of them should have been in church. They're part of the youth group. They should have been in church, but they was screwing. I knew what they was doing. I got a cousin. Me and him was just touching bases. And I found out. Me and him was arguing in the car not too long ago. He was giving me a ride back into Westmoreland County, and he was telling me he slept with more women than I thought he did. He slept with the girl that I thought was saving herself for me. You know what I'm saying? These atheists, man, they think that we don't go through what they go through. They think that we've never been wicked. We've never been a scorner. We never laughed and mocked things. They think that we, were one of them people that were afraid of something or shackled or in bondage to something. But I remember sitting in church and wondering where all the young people were, and I knew where they were. They was out having fun, and they'd brag to me the next day, and I'd be like, how come you wasn't in church last night? And they was like, man, I was busy with so-and-so, And they let me know the details without letting me know the details. You know how that goes. And I was jealous. I was a little hurt. But at the same time, I knew that I understood my commitment. And it wasn't that I was afraid of anything. Swear to God, across my heart, so help me God, hope to die. I was not afraid of anything. I was not afraid to denounce anything. In fact, like I said in the last video, I did denounce my faith. Told God I wanted to get away from him, but yet, because I understood, which you don't understand, atheists. You think you do, but you don't. You don't understand. Because when you understand, it's like swimming. Even though you say you hate the water, you still know how to swim to save your life. You've already taken the class. You know how to swim. And that's the way it was when I left God and I was a backslider and I was hanging out with, people that wanted to take advantage of me and people that didn't really love me. They just wanted to make sure that I was backslidden. And they wanted to make sure that I really, really, really denounced my faith. But in the back of my head, there were so many things that were insulting my intelligence because I understood this Bible. Not the way the atheists understand, where they got all these questions and they try to put God in the courtroom and all this kind of stuff. No, I understood who God is. No doubt. And it wasn't about my denomination. It wasn't about, black folks or white folks or anything like that. And I told you in another video how I'm excited about the fact that I've been in several different denominations, that I know how, that I've worshiped God with white folks as well as black folks. That I've worshiped God with the poor as well as the rich. I know Christianity beyond and above than what an atheist will claim that they know. Because you only see one side. It's either the Catholic Church or it's religions like Islam, or it's religions like, Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons or whatever. And it's either religion or it's a religious denomination, basically. It's one of the two or both. And so you look at someone that is not grounded in Jesus and you see their buffoonery and you take it out on all religion. You take it out on all faith. And that's called immaturity. That's called being a fool. The Bible calls you a fool when your attitude is like that, okay? We change, as I said in the last video, we change as we see need to change in the sight of God and for the sake of the well-being of all mankind, not just ourselves. We're not selfish about ourselves and what our will is and what we want, okay? And we're fine with that. I listened to a song today on the radio, and the chorus goes like this. It goes, he says he'll never ever hold the world in his hand, and he'll never ever build a promised land, and he'll never be as big as Jesus. But that's okay. That's all right with him. And that song, the minute I heard it, the music of it, I knew exactly who it was. It was Audio Adrenaline, good Christian rock band from back in the 80s and actually the early 90s, I think. Early 90s. That I loved. And I only like certain of their albums, like some of their albums I didn't get into because they would resample secular music, and put some Christian lyrics in it and all like that, and I wasn't too into that. But this one song that he wrote it with his own handprint. He wrote it with his own pen. And he said in the chorus of that song, never gonna have the whole world in the palm of my hand, something like that, and never gonna build a promised land, never gonna be. And it's like, the beat drops down, the drums come in, and they'll bop, 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 bop. Never going to be like Jesus. You know, or should I say never be as big as Jesus. And, but that's okay. That's okay. That's all right with me. Because I ain't supposed to be trying or even thinking about being as big as Jesus or being smarter or better than Jesus. I'm not going to get on the cross and die for nobody's sins. So let me shut up. It ain't happening. I don't care, you know, I might love my kids, but, when you talk about hanging me on the cross by my wrists, okay, and piercing my side and whipping me with a whip, all for what? He walked into it. He knew it was going to happen. He walked into it. No wonder people try to hide that history. But let me get on with this. Let me close with this. As I said in the last video, money is the root of all evil. Money is almost like a rival, or we let it be, a rival to God. But God did bless some people with money. Solomon told the Lord, he says, Lord, don't bless me with riches, just bless me with wisdom. God blessed him with both wisdom and money. Okay? Abraham said, let no man say that Abraham owes anything. But God blessed Abraham with riches. Abraham was rich. God has blessed some people with money, but he don't bless people with money as part of their relationship with God, even though he claims in the scriptures that he wants us all to be in health and prosper. Well, some people think prosper, some of these, money preachers, as they call them, think that the word prosper means money, 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 payday, 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 payday. And it doesn't. Prosper means that you will have enough to take care of your wife and kids, to get yourself to work, to keep your job, to do your job, the education to do your job. Okay, you'll be able to get from A to B to Z and whatever you got to do. You'll be able to do what you got to do. That's what prosperity is. Okay, and the rich and the poor will always be among us. Okay, and the word of God also says, I've been high and I've been low, and I've been through so many things, as the King David said, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. And I've been homeless, but I've never been on the street homeless. Never been on the street homeless, begging bread, looking for, I've never had to sleep up under a bridge. You know where I slept the last time I was homeless? I'm about to be homeless again if I don't get this rent paid. But last time I slept homeless, I slept in a hotel. Okay? I slept in a hotel. See, I've always worked for a living, and most of the time, I've had a car. Matter of fact, all the times that I've been homeless, I've had a vehicle. It's funny how, all the times that I was homeless, I had a job and a car. And I've probably been homeless probably like 3 times. And all 3 times I had a job and a car. Never even slept in the car. Never even slept in the car. But I would call that homeless. Now, some people, when they're homeless, that means that they got to go out on the street and they can't eat, they can't get around, they can't do nothing but take a piece of cardboard. I'm trying to figure out where to get it from all the time, but take a piece of cardboard and tell you their situation on the cardboard and hold it up, and hopefully you'll put some money in the can. I've never been in that position, and I doubt if I ever will, because I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. All the times that I've been homeless, 3 times, I've had a car and I've had a job. Okay? I never even stayed in a shelter, because you have to be completely, like, totally have nothing. You can't have a job and stay in a shelter. You can't, there's nowhere to park your car at the shelter. Now, when I didn't have a car, I wasn't homeless. When I was laid off, I wasn't homeless. When I had to collect welfare for a minute, and it was only for a minute, I wasn't homeless. I had what I needed. That's how you know the difference between, somebody who's like really homeless because they made some mistakes in their life. That comes from sin too. And somebody who is homeless because they're having, because actually someone that is homeless because they're rebellious. And they don't want to do anything right. They don't want to do the right thing. Okay? But, I've never in all my years have seen homeless people in church. I've seen people in church that needed emergency housing. I've seen people in church that needed food. And I've been in those predicaments. But while these atheists are trying to sit there and point the finger at the church is feeding people. The church is helping people find jobs and shelter. You can hate all you want to. It just, But, closing out, Christians of every trade and situation and country. Okay? We're all over the place. And if I go to Asia and I can find out how to speak to Asian people in their language, whatever Asian country I go to, we start talking about the Lord, boom. We done went from being strangers to brothers and sisters. That's how real the code is. That's how real the code is. As I already said, there are rich Christians, but the poor Christians, I've been poor, I've been homeless, but never begging. As the word says, never his seed begging bread. And whatever good you are when you accept Christ, what, you think he's going to rip that away from you? No, if you're a good person, if you're highly educated, like atheists think that we don't, they have this idea of Christianity and this culture of Christianity that I can never find. Like I said in a bunch of videos ago, all my friends that I grew up in the church with, all my white friends, just like in the secular world, most white people that graduate from high school go to college. It's the same thing in the Christian world. Most white folks not only graduate from high school when they're in a Christian home, they definitely, it's very seldomly a young Christian man wouldn't graduate from high school. Usually if he doesn't, it's a learning disability or something like that, special ed or something. One of them kind of predicaments. It's not really because he dropped out after all the praying and love of his parents. Okay, but everybody that's a Christian doesn't go to college, but everybody that's secular, that's an atheist. All atheists don't go to college, do they? Tell me something. Okay? But one thing I will say, I've seen a lot of people when it comes to spiritual matters that have no college background. And when you meet them and listen to them after they have, I've seen people come out of prison. They got saved in prison. And when their time in prison was up, they took that freedom. Some of them went to college after they got out of prison, a lot of Christians. And then some of them, their life was changed so much just from becoming born again, even though they were in jail as a convict. When they got out, their life was changed so much. You thought that they was a college professor, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. People even talk different when they become born again. Oh man, you don't know what you're missing, man. You just don't know what you're missing. It changes you on the inside and eventually out. Trust me on this. Whatever good you are, okay? If you're a cop, when you get saved, you're going to be a better cop. If you're a critical thinker, you're going to be even more critical thinker when Jesus get done with you. Okay? But it's the lack of understanding that causes people to reject Christ. It is not, even the kids, even if kids in the church reject Christ and don't grow up the way their parents expected them to, okay, in the Lord, okay, it's because of a lack of understanding on their part. It's kind of like black folks and this whole hatred for white people. Same kind of spirit. When you reject God coming up, when you have a Christian family and you've been taught better, okay? You reject God and you start hating everybody that believes that they know what the truth is, or that talks like they know what the truth is. You start hating anybody that stands up and calls it for what it is, like I said. But people that lack understanding of the Word of God, these are the people that reject Christ. And I've been on videos where I commented with atheists, and I would say something and an atheist would jump on me because that's that kind of channel, and he would try to put his foot in my mouth, and I would start quoting scripture. I would tell him the simple truth, and he would get so angry. It's like you can see the anger in the text. You can see it. He gets so angry because he knows that I'm not the kind of person that doesn't know what I believe. The total opposite of what an atheist would say why I believe. My reasons for believing are not what an atheist says. It's totally opposite of that. And what makes an atheist angry is when he tries to preach at me about what's wrong with my faith, and I preach back at him about what's wrong with atheism and what's right about my faith, and how much my faith could beat his atheism on any day, any time, okay, on any platform. Okay, it's a no-win situation with you people. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? A student is not better than his teacher. Hate to put you down like that, but you're learning. And a lot of people, everybody from Islam to atheists to some of these other little hidden, covered up religions, okay? You mean well. You all mean well. All of y'all mean well. But eventually, you lack maturity and you lack understanding, okay? And, all you got to do is look at Trump haters. Trump haters versus critical thinkers. Now, how many atheists voted against Trump? Forget about the Democratic Party for a minute. Let's just say this. How many atheists hated Trump? Donald Trump, just like the rest of the world. You hated Donald Trump. Not only did you hate Donald Trump, but how many of you atheists are liberals? Not only are you liberal, but how many of you atheists are Democrats? To the most liberalist liberals. I mean, some of y'all are more liberal than Hillary Clinton. That's why it didn't matter to you what Hillary Clinton was doing wrong. It didn't matter that she was lying. It didn't matter about her email situation or any of that stuff. Because why? You are more liberal than she'll ever be. I think even Hillary Clinton was more Republican than a lot of these atheists. And what they want this world to be. They want this world to be a place where you walk out of your house and nobody is a man or a woman anymore. Okay? Nobody is a man or a woman anymore. That's the kind of world you want. There is no right or wrong about anything. That's the kind of world you want. That's not critical thinking. I'm sorry. That's not critical thinking. And if a lot of these Republicans are people who have a basic, and like I said before, they're not Christians. They're not Christians. But if they have an attitude of common morality, they don't need somebody to change the landmarks or to change the rules or replace everything that once was to something totally different. Okay? They understand simple morality. They understand simple, our God-given state of integrity. If we can go that high with God. They understand that, even though they don't live it any better than you do, but they understand it. That's the party I want to be in. At least you understand. At least like Donald Trump. Donald Trump ain't no Christian. Because you can't say all that stuff about Pope Francis, who he don't know if he's an atheist or if he's a Muslim or a homosexual or what he is. He don't know what he is. But you can't say all that stuff against Pope Francis and then shake hands with Pope Francis and then say, I love the Mormons. Okay? And then say, I'm going to fight for Christians. That's not a Christian. Now, as a Christian, yes, I probably would protect the Catholics, being they're not doing nothing but looking stupid in their little outfits and having mass that ain't going to get them to heaven. Okay? And having Lent on Friday that ain't going to get them to heaven. None of that stuff matters. Okay? But I would defend them because they mean well, just like I would defend you atheists because you mean well. But when you attack other people and try to take away their right to hold on to their landmark, to hold on to what has been theirs for centuries, even if it is a fairy tale. If the fairy tale was hurting anything, it would have hurted everything way back centuries ago. Before it was written, when the first people wrote it, okay? Ain't no way it can hurt us now after all these years when we've been living typical American lives where we're more mellow. Then we serve God on a more mellow atmosphere than any other country. We serve God on a more mellow atmosphere than what our forefathers of the faith worship God. We're totally, very, very almost secularly Christian in this country. So it's just totally pointless and silly and immature to attack somebody for what they believe. Because what they believe does not affect you in any way except to make you jealous. That they have brains that are too high for your understanding. It's too high for you you can't fathom, you can't understand. So what you try to do is you try to act like you have some kind of authority that shuts it all down over my dead body. I'm not worried. I don't have to worry about skepticism. I don't have to worry about atheism. I don't have to worry about those that hate, because if it wasn't for our love, none of us would be here in this planet, on this planet. If it wasn't for the love of God, there would be no need for me to even express anything. There wouldn't be no reason for me even to mention the name of Christ if it wasn't for his love. There's only one reason to mention the name of Christ, and that is because of his love for humanity. Go on and keep going to, what is it, 2 Samuel chapter 15. Is that what it is? Y'all love that chapter. Go on and keep on trying to make God this maniac. This genocidal maniac. Keep on trying to do that. But meanwhile, I'm going to be worshiping and praising him, because whether he was a genocidal maniac or not, he changed me so I didn't have to be like you. Okay? And I believe I'm less of a genocidal maniac than you are. If you feel that, there's no reason to preach the gospel, that there's no reason to preach a more excellent way, that we're all good because we choose to claim that we're good, and that there's nothing higher than ourselves. It's just us and what we agree on in our most secular right. If you're that dumb and stupid, I'm glad to be a child of the genocidal maniac instead of one of you knucklehead so-called critical thinkers. God bless you. I will talk to you soon. Stay tuned for more. Talk to you later. Have a good holiday.